Okay, recording is on.
Thank you for joining us for the East Aurora Village Board meeting for April 21st, 2025. If you could please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The roll call, please, Maureen.
Trustee Lizickis.
Here.
Trustee Cameron. Here. Trustee Vijay. Here. Trustee Flynn. Trustee Raby.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. I get a motion to approve the minutes of the Village Board meeting for April 7, 2025.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract for April 21, 2025 with a total of $33,887.93.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. All right, as our first speakers in communications, we're going to start with the village arborist, and then we're going to open it up to the public. Is Jared here? There he is. Hey, buddy. Good. Did you want to come up and tell us a little bit about the Hamlin Park assessment?
Sure.
Jeff told me.
Okay.
So, our company, Bradley Tree, came in and did a risk evaluation and assessment on Hamlin Park. We found some trees that needed to be removed due to hazardous situations that they're in, being it decay at the base, major failure up in the crown canopy of the tree. There was only, I believe it was 25 or 26 trees that were found that needed to be removed. The rest of the trees in the park are, some of them are listed as high risk right now just due to the fact that there's large deadwood in the canopy, snags that are hung up in it, and other issues that are primarily up in the crown of the tree. If it's something that's on the base of the tree, more lower to the ground, that looks like it could cause a major structural failure, those were primarily what was deemed as removals in this situation. The recommendation is to take the trees down that are on the list deemed for removal. The rest of the trees that are listed, there's a pretty in-depth evaluation on each individual tree as far as what needs to be done to make those trees safe. Could be just one limb that needs to be taken out of it that's hung up, or it could be a hazard deadwood prune to remove things down to 1 or 2 inch diameter to keep people that are walking underneath it from getting hurt or getting hit by these tree limbs. So that was the findings that we found in Hamlin Park at this point.
So do you like force rank them, or is it like a classification? It's like removables, 27 of them, and then X amount of high risk. There's what, 160 total?
Yes.
In the park? And you numbered them all, right?
Correct.
I love that you did that. That was
All the trees are tagged.
There's no
There's
mix-ups.
tags on the trees, so it makes it very easy to reference all of them. The way, without getting into a big, long explanation, so Merle and I did the risk evaluation. We're track qualified, which is tree risk assessment qualified. So the way that works is there is a ranking. You take different flow charts, you look at different characteristics of the tree, what soil, everything from soil compaction to cavities in the base to cultivar species of trees, as far as, how strong the wood is, how that plays into how far outreaching the limbs are, what that tree can handle. Obviously, an oak tree, if it has long, lanky limbs on it, can handle more weight than, say, a cottonwood tree. So those things are taken into consideration when the assessment's being done. Rate of occupancy for that area is taken into consideration. Obviously, if you have a high traffic area where people are underneath the tree all the time, that's factored into the equation. If there's a tree that's in a unmaintained area, which there really is none of that in Hamlin Park, that's taken into consideration as well. So all of those things are taken into it, everything from wind direction to what the growing conditions are in that area. So we did a level 1 risk assessment on it. There's a level 2 risk assessment, so if we see something that looked like maybe we needed to look into it more, or if there's more questions on it, we can go to a level 2 risk assessment, which ends up being, you use tools to essentially diagnose what's going on with the tree. Everything from a resistograph that measures the density of the wood. Then there's level 3 assessments where you're doing more of a, it could be everything from bringing a bucket truck in to doing an evaluation with a drone to climbing up in the tree and assessing the canopy. It was fairly cut and dry as far as what we saw there. If there is questions on the trees, we can move to the next level. Very comfortable with where we're at with our evaluation that was done at the park. So my recommendation is moving forward, start to address these. The evaluation is good for a year. After a year, it should be reassessed. That just comes in from a liability standpoint, so.
So I guess my question is, you have 27 trees, you're saying they gotta come out? right?
Correct.
Could there be a high-risk tree that just has one branch that's kind of a widowmaker? That you trim that, and then the tree's fine, and you should address that before you take down some other tree that may or may not fall in the next few years. I'm just looking at what's the safest way to
Yes.
proceed.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, the hazard removals are main priority. A lot of these trees will go from a high risk to a low risk tree with just a little bit of pruning. So if there's, like I was saying, if there's big dead pieces up in the tree and there is a high rate of occupancy in that zone underneath, it could be as simple as going in, pruning out the dead wood that's up in that tree, and then that'll take that tree from a high level risk to a low level risk. And then the evaluation will be redone, and then that tree can get a safe rating, so to speak. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
And Jeff Stoll, you already started, right?
Yep.
Already started working on the list?
Yep.
And can you guys handle all the trees on the list, or is there certain trees that are too big or too high that you need to bring them in?
As far as the removals, we'll be all right. Some of the pruning,
Our bucket truck just isn't tall enough, so we might have to bring them in.
Right, we appreciate you jumping on this quick. I know there was a branch that fell, I think, near a family, right?
There
So-
was, there was,
Yeah.
Nancy Smith was walking through and saw that happen, and then I guess, I understood there was another one that came down at some point in time. And like I said, a lot of these problems are fairly easy to address with just pruning. You know, it doesn't have to, you don't have to take every single tree down in the park or anything like that. It's just getting these trees, mitigating the risk essentially is what we're looking at,
Yeah.
so.
Well, thanks for getting in so fast and doing this. Jeff, you have a maintenance plan going forward so that it isn't a one-time
Yep,
audit?
Yep.
More of an ongoing process?
yeah. Today there was actually a crew up there at the park, and there was quite a few limbs down, so we definitely got to get going on it.
Anybody have anything for Jared while he's up here? Anyone have anything for Merle? I just love the name Merle. It's awesome. I want to say it out loud. Thanks, Jared.
I did, actually, I do have one question, something that came up at the tree board meeting, and not to name drop Nancy again, but it was definitely Nancy, to asking about if there's any potential to keep, I think it was called a snag tree, something where you can keep it for owls or some sort of wildlife, if it's dead and you sort of remove all the dangerous parts.
And that would be something we'd want to evaluate on site. You know,
Okay.
figure out what tree we would want to use. I know we had a couple different numbers. I believe we were concerned about the screech owls that are in a tree.
Right.
The one that we believe they're in, from what I understand from Nancy, is one that is not slated for removal.
Okay,
We had talked about, all of us had talked about potentially leaving these snag trees. That would be something that would have to be looked at. Essentially what happens is, my job is to assess the risk.
Right.
It is up to the property owner, which would be the Village of East Aurora, to essentially decide what level of risk they're willing to assume. When you have a snag, obviously if it's a dead tree, there is a chance you can take a lot of the limbs off and preserve that snag in a safe manner, but that's something that you can't just evaluate from standing in this room. The tree has to be looked at from a 360-degree view and decide, is this safe, is it not safe? And then essentially it's up to the village to decide whether that's something that they want to, that's a risk level that they want to assume.
Sure.
So,
Thanks, yeah, I just want to make sure we have this conversation before we take them all out.
got it. All right.
Very good. Thanks, Jared. Appreciate you. All right, this is our first speakers in communications. There'll be a second one later on near the end of the meeting. If you have something you'd like to talk about, you can raise your hand. When called on, you can come up to the microphone, please. We record all the meetings. Give us your name and address and let us know what your issue is. Please keep it under 2 minutes. Anybody? Nancy?
Nancy Smith, 195 Sycamore. Thank you for dedicating time to tree issues even over a holiday vacation week. Greatly appreciated. To continue the momentum the mayor established by speaking with the governor's Western New York representative and his announcement at the April 7th meeting, I hope this evening the board will move forward with a temporary moratorium on non-emergency tree removals by utilities. Since NYSEG's ability to trim trees has been paused for review, these same standards should be applied as swiftly as possible to GoNet Speed's trimming project, especially given that NYSEG dictates all of the trimming standards that GoNet Speed implements. The second thing is I really want to commend Jarrett, the village arborist, and Jeff for their swift action to conduct the tree hazard assessment for the larger trees in Hamlin Park. It's very sad to have to lose so many mature trees that have graced Hamlin Park, in some cases for hundreds of years. I completely trust and respect Jared's assessment, and I thank him for taking what may be a difficult and unpopular position among some members of our community. I think he's done a great job. So not tonight, because there is a packed agenda, but hopefully there can be further consideration of the habitat tree snag, as you mentioned. My son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter often go to Fred Fletcher Park in Raleigh, North Carolina. So it isn't just in places like Beaver Meadow or even Knox Park that things like this exist. I didn't want to send you guys 4 emails over the holiday week, but I'm sure you won't be surprised to receive from me some really fun pictures of this park. It's a place that has a wedding venue and lots of paths and an amphitheater, and they have a snag right next to the path with this cool sign that even has a picture of an owl on it. I couldn't believe it. So anyways, thank you.
So Nancy, your request for the moratorium.
Yeah.
I know I talked to Bonnie Kane Lockwood at Hochul's office. She worked with the PSC to get NYSEG to halt their trimming of any trees. But that didn't affect GoNet. I was told from NYSEG it didn't affect GoNet Speed or O'Connell or the new subcontractor they have working on it as well. But a moratorium, I think, if we called a public hearing for it, because that's how we'd have to do it, the soonest we could do it is May 19, which is only a month, right?
Yeah. So you kind of start the process. And,
Right.
Yeah.
The question is, you said non-emergency tree removal.
Tree trimming, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then you also asked, are there other examples? And so I printed this out. I think you've seen the one before from New York City. There's some in Batavia. There's also the fact that same representatives from NYSEG said you can't have 2 different trim box sizes, and of course you can, because
You said National Grid has done it, right?
Right,
And they're a competitor of NYSEG.
that's right. So I'll give these to Maureen, and I can find other examples.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Jen?
Hello. Do you need my name?
Yes, please.
Jennifer Brazil. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling great, so I'm like, Jennifer Brazil, 115 Blake Hill Road. I am here also about the trees. First of all, Jesse couldn't be here tonight, so just in regards to the Hamlin Park project, on behalf of the tree board, Jared's the best in the business. So everybody trusts his assessment, and if this is what he thinks needs to be done, then everybody supports that. But the tree board wanted to know if we could see the care and risk assessment plan that you came up with before 27 trees get taken down, and maybe there's a way to mitigate some of it. So if there was a way to get Jesse or someone else on the tree board involved in the conversation, I'd appreciate that. But,
Jeff, can you get that over to the tree board?
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
email it tomorrow.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, and like you said, everybody trusts Jared. But it's a lot of trees. So, okay, and then I just wanted to mention, I emailed you all this morning. I'm sure you all read it or maybe didn't read it, but regarding the new company, the new utility company, I'll try to be quick because it's a packed room, but the new utility company that's come in, I don't know if it's in addition to O'Connell or replacing them. Shane, do you know?
Jeff? Shane knows the third party?
It's O'Connell brought them in because they were falling behind. But as soon as they came in, Jeff was in contact with them, and he's having weekly talks with them, just like he does with O'Connell. And they've been brought up to speed on all of our agreements.
Okay, so because last week the job they did looked exactly like King Street, and we've been here 6 months consistently fighting against that destruction of those trees, and then it happens again.
Yeah, that next day I got a hold of him,
You
and
did?
yeah, so that was the first time I saw him in the village. I saw Tree Care out like in Marilla area in the past few weeks.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw him the next day, I called Stan, got the foreman's number from Tree Care, and kind of went over everything with him, what's been going on and stuff. So
Okay. So they understand what they have to do and don't do. And I know there was a few houses on Fillmore behind the middle school that none of the property owners were notified that they were even coming.
I think O'Connell's still giving notices. I don't know if Tree Care is. I'll find that out. But Stan said everyone's getting notified.
Well, there's 3 different homeowners I talked to that hadn't been, so maybe their communication needs to become a little bit better.
I'll talk to Stan.
Okay, and then do they have an arborist, or is Stan the arborist for both projects now?
I believe they have their own arborist. Stan is probably not overlooking them as well.
So maybe we should have a meeting with their arborist.
We could make that happen.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to ask all those questions because it really was super devastating after all the hard work you have all done and we've all done to see that happen again. It's like soul crushing. So if we could just keep an eye on them, that would be great.
You don't want to lose the progress we've been making.
Exactly. We've made so much progress. So thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Evening. I'm Michelle Biella, and I live at 370 South Park Place. I have some fuel for the fire. Forgive me if you all know about this, but the 3.5% rule is essentially been found to be a good index of percentage of the population that might support an idea, and once they support that idea, then it is likely to be successful. And so this relates to the petition that's been circulated, and I think you got copies of them. Those were about 200 signatures of villagers that are in support of, preserving the trees that can be preserved and more judicious trimming of the trees and care of the trees. And so that represents well over 3.5% of our population. And I think it's just an indicator that if we keep doing petitions, we'll get many more people saying, yeah, we get it. So I wanted to share that tonight. And, again, acknowledging the work that's already been done. So, thanks.
Thanks, Michelle. Anybody else want to speak?
Good evening, members of the board, fellow residents, and community leaders. My name is Greg Perkins. I'm a captain of the Casanova Hose Company with East Aurora Fire Department. I stand before you today not out of opposition or of music or celebration, but out of deep concern of safety and well-being and quality of life in our beloved village of East Aurora. I've been a volunteer firefighter for over 20 years in 3 different departments. Each town I have been in had many events, but nothing as substantial as Music Fest or Heart of Music Festival. The volunteer fire service used to have a waiting list to join. In 1970, we had 106 members. Today, we have 44 members. At this point, we have 9 EMTs in the East Aurora Fire Department. Of those 9 EMTs, we're lucky to get 5 of them out for Music Fest. For the security and scene support so we'll have 2 of them at each going out together. That's 3 crews of EMTs to assist 8 different venues. The remainder of East Aurora. The proposed Heart of Music Fest stretches over a mile through the village, expecting to draw between 10,000 and 15,000 people. The organizers want this to go from 1 p.m. until midnight, serving alcohol throughout, which is a serious and unacceptable risk to our community. Let me be clear, this is not a small town event. This is a large scale urban festival being forced into the framework of a quiet village, and we have already seen the consequences in the past years. Multiple fights have broken out during this event. Our local EMS crews are overwhelmed, and so much so that multiple ambulances had to be called out to handle the volume of emergencies. And that's before we consider the reality of alcohol being served from early afternoon till late into the night. The combination, thousands of people, excessive drinking, and limited law enforcement support is a recipe for danger, not celebration. Parking, as we know, is already a challenge in East Aurora, narrow side streets on normal weekends. With 10,000 plus in attendance expected, we are asking for gridlock, property access issues, and mounting frustration for the residents. This is not hypothetical. This is predictable and preventable disruption to our community's daily life. Let's also go talk about the police force. Our officers are among the best, but they are few. They are already stretched thin. We simply do not have the manpower to effectively manage the crowds of this size over the span of 11 hours, especially if alcohol-fueled altercations begin to rise, as they have in the past. This past weekend, I was at the JMA Wireless Dome in Syracuse for a concert. The venue had a capacity of 49,000 people. I was amazed at the amount of police and security presence, metal detectors at all entrances, no bags allowed. Roads leading into the arena are being blocked off by police. The East Aurora Fire Department ran to Oxborough for many years with local bands until manpower dwindled to the point it was unmanageable with the personnel we had. Things have changed in the world, and it has gotten inherently dangerous at a large events such as Heart of Music Festival. There have been many mass shootings. Something even more dangerous because it's as silent as the mass stabbings. We are not anti-music, we are not anti-fun, we are pro-community, pro-safety, pro-quality of life. East Aurora is known for its charm, family-friendly atmosphere, and its tight-knit community values. This is why we don't have open container laws here. The festival on this scale does not align within who we are. There's a better ways to celebrate Music Fest, art, culture, businesses, and various charities of heart, like charities at the heart of the heart of Music Fest donates to. Ways we don't have to undue strain on our emergency services, endanger our residents, and change the character of the village. We've all worked hard to preserve. Last week, Chris Welch made a post about the Heart of Music Fest on social media, rallying for businesses and community to come out and support his organization. He failed to mention the post about the terms that needed to be met and the reason behind it. One of the commenters stated, "Village board is a bunch of idiots. Sorry, not sorry." This post had 3 likes, and one of them was from Chris Welch. He had every opportunity to set the record straight, but he failed to do so. I find it appalling that this man said, "We are committed to moving forward in a way that honors our community and that protects what we've worked so hard to create." a comment such as this, the East Aurora Police Department, East Aurora Fire Department are one of the that are out here protecting, and the village board oversees the work that we protect our community. At this time, I would like to see a show of hands that are here to support the Heart of Music Festival. Okay, now I would like to see a show of hands for the support of East Aurora Fire Department, because in my hands I have a stack of applications waiting to be filled out to help to support the Heart of East Aurora. Who wants these?
I'm already volunteering.
The East Aurora Fire Department?
No, for the festival.
Oh, that's what I was talking about. Let's be proactive, not reactive. Let's plan events that bring us together safely, joyfully, responsibly. For this reason, I respectfully urge the board to reconsider allowing this festival in its proposed form and then put the needs of the East Aurora and residents first. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greg. Anyone else want to speak? Sam, or Dennis?
So is this like speaking on the music fest now? or-
Whatever you like.
It's
Open.
It's open.
It's open. You can speak on any topic you want.
Dennis McCarthy, Jr., 299 Main Street. Hello, once again. My name is Dennis McCarthy, Jr. I'm a EMT and the lieutenant of Pioneer Hook and Ladder, which is a company in the East Aurora Fire Department. I'm once again standing before you in opposition to the current state of the East Aurora Music Fest. Last meeting, I addressed topics such as massive amounts of underage drinking, people stumbling into traffic, fights, the unprofessional hired security, and safety concerns regarding the EMTs of the East Aurora Fire Department. I will try to not repeat myself, but may elaborate on some of these topics. One of the main hurdles to provide adequate safety and security is the massive footprint of this event. This event turns the whole village into one big block party, which sounds great if your only concerns are making a profit and partying, which I enjoy both of those things. What I do not enjoy is the extreme risk involved in an all-day drinking festival which has people attempting to traverse from one end of the village to another. Especially now that alcohol will not be allowed on shuttles, foot traffic will be at an all-time high. One of my big concerns are people being struck by cars accidentally or, God forbid, in a more nefarious manner. Another large concern of mine, which I have already witnessed, is the large amount of fights and assaults I have seen after the sun goes down. Last meeting, Chris Welch spent a significant amount of time complaining to keep the event going for as long as possible. That I do not understand. Chris claims that this event is to help our community. Tell that to the multiple people who ended up getting assaulted last year, or to my friends, fellow EMTs of this community who were harassed and had beer bottles thrown at them. I don't believe either of those things constitute a community event like he describes. Going past dark and the large footprint that will be even larger this year to multiple added venues are my main concerns. Chris used the word downsizing a lot last meeting. Downsizing what exactly? You may sell less tickets, but this annual event is already on everybody's radar, and people will show up to tailgate, and there is no law nor way of enforcing anyone from doing so. I don't know if you keep tabs on social media pages for our community, but this event has horribly divided us. The East Aurora Fire Department is not the fun police, and the idealistic version of Music Fest sounds great. But the people complaining on the East Auroran are not the people who have to clean up the mess, attempt to keep order, or help in any sort of an emergency scenario. I don't know about the board, but when a disc jockey calls the village board and anyone else who wants common sense reforms made embarrassing, I take offense to that. One comment, which you already heard, quote, "The village board is a bunch of idiots. Sorry, not sorry," end quote, which was liked by Chris Welch, just shows how little he thinks of the people who actually help run this place we call home. A member of our fire department's mother was harassed and bullied at work due to East Aurora Fire Department's basic requests to make this event a much safer, therefore enjoyable community event. We talked of outside actors being the scapegoat behind all the mayhem that happens at this event. We need to collectively take off our rose-tinted glasses and realize that members of our own community also start fights, litter, and relieve themselves in people's yards. Our excrement stinks just as much as the next town over. On to the draconian policies that may be enacted to keep this event safe and secure. Towing 100 cars to start. Have you ever tried to tow someone's car? The owner of that vehicle typically isn't very happy about it. If they don't take that anger out on the tow truck operators, they will want to take it out on somebody. The magic black fencing. All the talk about it, and I still do not understand what positive effect that will bring, other than making our beautiful town look like an industrial zone. Furthermore, in the past years, East Aurora Fire Department EMTs personally witnessed numerous events which required medical attention, which never ended up going out over the radio. This privacy fencing will delay response times in an area where you likely will not have cell service. This also affects the police department in watching the crowd looking for altercations and other degenerate behavior. Lastly, I would like to pose a question. What is the sum number of occupancy between all participating businesses? Is it less than 7,000? Having people packed like sardines not only makes it harder to recognize and respond to emergencies, but would make an evacuation, if necessary, extremely difficult. I apologize for the long-winded statement, but the safety of this community is my foremost concern. I appreciate the time and platform you have provided me to voice these concerns, as well as all you do behind the scenes to keep our community great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Grab an application.
Anyone else want to speak? Any topic? There'll be another chance at the end of the meeting. All right, that closes our first speakers and communications. Moving on to public hearings, can I get a motion to open a public hearing to consider a local law to amend Section 249-28 of Village Code? East Aurora has no parking in certain places, North Street, south from Whaley Ave to Maple Street, and north from Maple Street west to the dead end at 7:32 PM.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion?
Now, this is no parking whatsoever, or is it north side, south side, all?
North side south from Whaley Avenue to Maple, and north side from Maple Street west to the dead end. No parking in those areas.
The opposite sides of the fire hydrants, you can park.
Okay.
Any other discussion before we vote to open the public hearing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? All right, anything else that, Pat, you want to tell us about?
Resident of North Street reached out to the Safety Committee, asked for this to be looked at. The Safety Committee looked at it. Jeff advised that that street is not as wide as other streets, and that parking on both sides of the street could become a problem for snowplows and fire trucks and anybody that's hauling any type of trailer, whether it be a boat or a utility trailer. So we looked at it, and we looked at how much parking is available there, and there still should be sufficient parking even on one side of the street for the full length of North Street. Jeff suggested, with Aaron's recommendation, since they're in tune with the water, to make it opposite of the hydrants. The hydrants run on the south side or the north side about halfway down, and then they switch over and go to the south side. So that's the reason for half of it being north side, half of it being south side. It's to avoid the hydrant side.
I guess my thoughts are, I definitely want more room for the fire trucks and everybody to get down it. Is it going to increase the speed of traffic on those roads? I've driven down it a number of times, just looking at, there's not a lot of cars parked on the curbs. Without the cars there, I know, like on Shear, I deliberately, a lot of the residents were complaining to me about the speed of traffic on Shear. So I parked on the curb opposite another parked car and just watched everybody slow down so they could kind of navigate through by taking out all the parked cars on one side. And I don't know, I'm just asking, in your professional opinion, is that going to increase speeds on the road? Is that something to be concerned about?
I think North Street has ample, there's a few stop signs along the way. So you're going to be stopping many different times from one end to the other. I don't know that speed would become an issue there. If it did become an issue there, we'd be happy to enforce that and make sure people were aware we were there. I don't believe that any other street in town where there's one-sided parking, I don't think it becomes a speeding issue.
And do you think this is going to be something that, because there's a lot of village streets that are tight, do you think this is going to be something that other residents are going to be looking to do on other streets around the village?
I can't answer what they might do, but maybe. I mean, it just depends I think it was a retired police officer that lives there that reached out to us originally, and I know he has a couple different things that he uses a trailer for, and said he had to go all the way around with his trailer and go down onto Main Street and then come back up, and asked for us to look at it, and we looked at it, and we, didn't see the harm in making that one-sided no parking. After we made sure there's still going to be ample parking for folks to have guests over and things like that. North Street also doesn't have, to my knowledge, any duplexes or anything like that that would require people to be forced to park on the street. Sometimes when you have apartments and things like that, there's a lot more vehicles. I don't believe that exists there. So we still believe one-sided parking is going to be, enough there.
Anything else from the board? No thoughts? All right, anyone from the public want to comment on this? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:37 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Steve, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing at 7:37 PM to consider the village's annual MS4 report?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Brian? What? No way. You're not getting off the hook that easy.
Nothing to report.
No. You want to tell us what this is, or tell everybody what this is?
That's just a yearly annual report.
It's the yearly annual report for the stormwater management permit. So,
Something we do every year?
every year, yep.
Anything we should know about it that's different this year?
No, nope.
Standard stuff?
Standard stuff, yep.
Because you're probably going to get a lot of questions from the public on this. I think that's why most of them are here.
Yep, probably.
Does the board have any questions for Brian before we proceed to the public?
No.
No.
Would anyone from the public like to speak on this matter? Very good. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:38 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved? The public hearing is closed. Nice job, Brian. You did great. See you next year. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion to approve a local law to amend Section 249-28 of Village Code, East Aurora's no parking in certain places, North Street south from Whaley Ave to Maple Street, and north from Maple Street west to the dead end?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Steve?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Ernie?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Grace?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Approved. Can I get a motion for permission for the mayor to sign the village's MS4 report?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I, Mayor Peter Mercurio, appoint Stacy Blattner to the Hamlin Park Committee for a one-year term to end the first Monday in April 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate you serving your community. D, can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Jerica Hinman from Hometown Market EA, 641 Oakwood and 72 Elm Street, various dates from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for the Town of Aurora's Backyard Bash Concert Series, Thursdays, July 10 to August 28, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion?
Bathroom still, John, it's still going to be inside your building, right? Yeah.
Thanks,
It's a
John.
great event. I like it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for the East Aurora Art Society, applicant Susan Somerville, for a fine art exhibition and sale June 28 and 29, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., contingent on receipt of certificate of insurance at the clerk treasurer's office.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? Is the applicant here? Anything different?
Nothing.
Very good. I didn't see anything. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I got a motion to approve a temporary use permit for 42 North Brewing Company, applicant John Simperman, bands in the beer garden, June 20, 25, August 8, 25, and 11, 25, from 7 PM to 10 PM.
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? John, anything to add?
No, we do not need the alley closed, so just wanted to make sure we're just finance that in regard.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to set a public hearing for May 19th, 2025 to consider an application from Rachel and William Dens, 863 Lawrence Ave, for a permit to keep other than household pets for 4 hens.
6.
6 hens, like I said. You all heard it wrong. I said 6 hens.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? I know during COVID, Michelle Schoeneman had the idea to change the permitting structure to, if they got all their neighbors to agree to it, then they wouldn't need to do a public hearing.
So I reviewed that with the applicant, and she's aware she's going to need to have the public hearing. She did bring in signatures from multiple residents, but there were a few residents that she was not able to obtain, and she was okay with having the public hearing.
All right, moved by Steve, second by Kristen. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is set. Can I get a motion to set a public hearing for May 19, 2025 to discuss a site plan application from Jim Bammel of Bammel Architects PC, architect for Bank of Holland, 250 Quaker Road. The request is to construct an addition and alteration to the north side facade of the building that faces Quaker Road for an externally illuminated sign.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is set. I get a motion to set a public hearing for May 19, 2025 to discuss the idea of a bait and shoot program to control the deer population in the village.
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? Be interesting to hear the folks' thoughts. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is set. I get a motion to refer to the Planning Commission May 6th, 2025 meeting for a special use permit for an accessory building on an open space OS zoned lot adjacent to 816 Warren Drive, submitted by owner East Aurora Forest Company LLC, a Hiram Roads member.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Refer to the Planning Commission. I get a motion for permission to advertise the bid for the roof repair at the DPW once the bid documents are ready.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? Maureen, Jeff, anything you want to tell us about this?
This is the roof that started coming off at the DPW. We did one emergency repair, and this is the rest of the repair. It is starting to lift from the building. The engineers were brought in to start putting bid decks together, and Jeff needs to review them to make sure that they're within what we want and they didn't add extra things.
Yeah, I'm in the process of talking with John with that.
And this isn't something our guys can do themselves?
No.
Definitely need
Yeah.
pros coming in. Any other discussion from the board? Moved by Steve, second by Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the following new members of the East Aurora Fire Department: Sean Sekula and Andrew Mockney.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? Anything you want to add, Aaron? Yeah, we appreciate them. Yeah, they're both experienced and moved back into the municipality, and that's fantastic. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I got a motion to schedule a public hearing on May 19, 2025 for 293 Center Street. Melissa and Mark Ramsey, permit to maintain 3 dogs.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve budget adjustments for the 2024-2025 fiscal year.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the budget modification for the 2024-2025 fiscal year.
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the bids for the 2025 auctions international lots of surplus vehicles and equipment.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion?
Jeff, you're scrapping the others, the stuff we didn't get a real high bid on, the wing and the blade?
Yeah, I think we'll get more on scrap for those.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's vehicles and chainsaws mostly?
Yeah, chainsaws, vehicles, we got a old 88 dump truck. That's about it.
All right. Moved by Steve, second by Grace. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. No new business. Moving on to old business.
I got some business.
Oh, new business. Give us the
Well,
business,
it's
Steve.
kind of, I guess it'd be old business, wouldn't it? No, go ahead. It's not. Go ahead. No new business.
No new business. So you're not giving us the business.
No, I'm not giving you the business tonight.
Old business A, construction of the town judicial courtrooms. Maureen, you want to just expand on that, please?
The board was sent diagrams of what the town is looking to do to their courts up in our building at 571 Main Street. They were submitted to you guys at the last meeting, and I guess I'm just looking to see if anybody objects to those plans happening, or if you guys think you need more time to review. The village, per our agreement, can't unreasonably withhold them from doing remodeling to the building,
To their space.
to the space that they use. The police chief and the administrator did review the documents, and other than wanting one door to be secured, I believe everybody was okay with the layout.
Good. Pat, good? Yeah. And they're paying for everything with, do they get J grants or?
They're
We don't?
doing JCAP grants for a lot of it, but I don't know that it's all of it, but
But they're paying for all of it.
yeah, we are not paying for it. They are paying for it.
All right, so you don't need a vote, you just need to hear our thoughts? I have
I
no
don't know,
problem
Chris,
with it.
do we need a vote on that? I just need, if they object, otherwise I will tell the town it's okay. You want them to vote?
No, they don't need to.
Anyone on the
need to
board
vote.
have issues
It's
with
not, it's not the expenditure of village funds.
Village, yeah,
it? It's modifications to village property, but.
True.
yeah.
Anyone from the board have any issues with the changes?
No.
as-
The police are fine, I'm fine.
Good. All right. The record show, the board's good with it. Hamlin Park Memorial Plaque and Sport Court usage. Ernie, you want to talk about that?
Well, Steve, you want to do the plaque, and then I'll do the,
Sure. In conversation, there was a donor for a plaque for Cicero Hamlin. We're working on adjusting the wording on it. Everybody seems to be okay with moving forward with it. And we'll see how he responds to the paring down of the verbiage. That's about it. for
Do
that.
we
So
have
it's-
any sources for that?
No,
Okay.
he didn't, he said he needs time. He was busy and he needed time to provide him.
I knew you needed time last month, so I wasn't
He
sure where
still,
we are
he
now.
still
Okay.
needs time.
Okay,
He's
that's
an
fine.
artist, right?
That's fine, I'm not
I'm
in a
not
rush.
sure even. I'm
he
not
owns a,
sure.
he owns a landscaping company, I believe.
So this guy wants to donate a brass, right?
Bronze.
Bronze plaque
Bronze plaque.
commemorating Cicero Hamlin.
And it's a good size one.
Good size one. And Jeff found a boulder
Yep,
to put in the park to attach it to.
yep.
But our thoughts are, we need to fact check the information he submitted and have Rob Goller, the town and village historian, double check it we don't know if any of the information on there is copyrighted or incorrect.
Right.
Right. So we
And I
wanna
spoke
make
to
sure-
Rob. He wanted the sources. I reached out, and he has not, the donor has not given me the sources yet. And I also have to have a conversation with him to pare it down, the wording. So,
Just want to catch everybody up on
yeah.
the topic. Thanks for working on that, Steve.
Sure.
Ernie?
Pickleball. So I would like to not have pickleball go back in the Hamlin Park. We now have new courts at Emery Park. We have courts Warren Drive. We don't.
The park,
South Street, the community pool, not needed, and it's driving the people on Sycamore. It's upsetting their lives. So I suggest, and I've been thinking about it and talking to, different people, possibly bocce, use with, artificial turf with the cushion, base, like they have in Orchard Park at Green Lake.
Right on the existing pad.
Right on the pad, and then, like a AstroTurf kind of with a soft backing, or shuffleboard. Or you had suggested the.
Masters tennis?
Reduced size, what's it called, reduced size tennis, or?
Yeah, Masters tennis is a poor name for it, really. It's basically tennis for people who have trouble keeping up with a full-size tennis court. They use a ball that has less bounce to it. You can use shorter rackets or regular rackets, but it is still a tennis ball, so it's going to same noise as a tennis ball. The net's, I think, half a foot lower than a pickleball net, and the court is much smaller than a regular tennis court, but much larger than a pickleball court. Doubles is 27 feet by 60 feet. Singles is 21 feet wide by 60 feet. So, I mean, you could probably sit down
That would be
and
an interest, that'd be something.
figure
else
out
to
what we
look
could
at.
fit where. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, we could do, like you said, there's a number of options that we could do to use it. We got badminton there now.
And badminton does get used,
Yeah.
and it makes no noise.
You could do like exercise equipment. I know we get a lot of requests from companies that want to come in and put in like an outside exercise area, like you see sometimes in municipalities. That's just a thought. Shuffleboard, bocce ball.
But not pickleball. We can't do that to those people.
And really, if we do
It's
any of
just
those
like, we
other
can't do
things,
that.
we could probably get rid of the soundproof pads too, which would open it up visually.
Do we want to schedule a public hearing to hear what the public wants to put there?
Yeah, I sort of think we should put like a kind of poll
Yeah,
out there or something like
let's
that.
make sure we don't, let's hear from the public.
Because I don't know what sport is going to be the
You
most
know,
popular. I don't know who's
Right.
playing bocce
I
or
know,
Masters tennis.
well, I know from my daily walks around Green Lake and Orchard Park, they play bocce. There's a group of people that play bocce in the afternoon every day, or every couple of days when the weather's nice, it gets used. I don't know if it's a thing in East Aurora. Yeah, I agree, Chris. I think we need to have the public speak out as to what they want. Let us know, let any of us know if you see us out and about. If you have any other ideas too, maybe there's something we haven't thought of.
What do you think, is a public hearing the appropriate way to gauge the public's interest?
You can.
I think Chris is going to tell you it's not a public hearing.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if
Right,
it would
I'm gonna say
actually-
that.
We can have it.
You can have a
You
discussion.
can have a public discussion, that's fine. Put
Public
it in
comment,
your agenda.
put it in our
public,
agenda,
yeah.
advertise it on the website.
Well, we'll talk about it at the Parks Committee, our Parks Committee meeting. We'll discuss it too, but we want to hear from the public though. Like,
Right.
what would you like there, including not just the residents in Sycamore and Griggs and South Grove, but the community at large in the village?
So do you want that at the Hamlin Park meeting, or do you want it at?
I think it should be here. I think this is a good venue. I think everyone needs to hear what people have to say.
Agreed.
And do you want to set that at the next board meeting, or do you want to set it after the next Hamlin meeting?
No, let's do it.
Let's
move
do it.
forward with
Let's move forward, but let's not put the pickleball back up.
No,
So we can,
I'm done with
so the
that.
public can be using something sooner rather than later?
correct.
Yes.
Is it possible to understand,
You got to come up and speak into the mic.
Wait, well,
That's, wait.
Nope,
The mayor's
wait,
gotta,
there's a
the mayor's gotta
communication
acknowledge
goal.
you.
Yeah.
That's not,
You know what, there's gonna be a
Second.
Speaker,
public,
another speaker.
Speakers and communications in a little bit,
Okay.
and that'll be the time, okay? Thanks.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
I'd like to hear from the people, you know.
I agree, I agree. All right, so we're setting it for the next meeting?
Yep.
I think that's a good idea, yeah.
Okay. And you're going to meet with the Hamlin Park group when?
It was, calendar,
We should make Stacy weigh in. She's been on the committee for like 40 minutes.
I have it someplace in here. And I'll find it. I don't know why it's not showing up here.
2 or 3 weeks. Is it before? I guess my question is.
It's
before
after,
the
no,
next-
it's after the next meeting.
Yeah, it's after the next meeting.
I don't know why I didn't save it on here. I had it, I've got it written
But you
down.
got an email.
I think
group
the
with
public
them.
discussion is as important or more important than us getting together prior.
And you can email them and they can come to that meeting and weigh in as well. But you're right, it's owned by 6,100 people, right? So let's hear from everybody, hopefully.
Parks Committee meeting, June 24th is the next one.
Oh, you're ways out.
So we're a ways out.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to have that Parks meeting in the park. So, but I'll talk to Maureen about that.
Anything else on the sport court
No.
usage? All right, closing that out. Music Fest, old business? Thoughts on that?
Did
I'd like to hear from
the
Aaron.
officials.
Where they're at with getting this extra support.
2 of the conditions that we added were for approval at the last meeting was our police and our fire department both said they would be stretched very thin trying to cover this busy, large event that's stretched out across the village, which makes it harder to capitalize on your manpower, your personnel. So condition we added was that the police department and the fire department were able to source mutual aid from other municipalities to help with this specific event before we'd move forward. You both want to touch on that? Who wants to go first?
Sure. So on the police department end of this, after the last meeting, I reached out to the New York State Police. I do have a verbal commitment for the New York State Police to be in town that day and part of our contingent of officers. Right now, I don't have an exact number, but there will be a certain amount of troopers and a supervisor that comes into town. They will not be in trooper cars. They will have trooper cars, but they will be on the ground at the event, supplementing our force. I also have 2 town police departments that I'm not going to name yet, just because the details haven't been worked out. We don't have an agreement yet, but we are getting close in Erie County that will supply additional resources that day, and it will be a different look than years past, for sure.
And is there a cost associated with both of those possible three agencies?
The 2 town police departments, that's yet to be determined. It's possible that they would require at least a swap in services from us. Right now, the New York State Police is going to do it in kind. However, obviously, it will be explored down the road because they obviously have cost and it depends on how it's going. But right now, they're telling me that they believe they'll be able to provide us extra resources as a favor to us that day without cost.
Pat, how's that work with like the county? We all pay county taxes. Does the sheriff department put extra people on if you request it, or do they send people in, or they're just like, yeah, we'll be around if you need us?
Well, I mean, I can't answer for the sheriff on what it cost him. I know that I've spoke with the Troop A major, and, we all live in New York State, and for this event, if a municipal agency requests assistance, they'll give us some. I know they assist with other events in the area, but I believe they would have a cap on what they will give us without charging us.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think with those additional resources, that would increase the level of safety for the event, Pat?
Yeah, it's going to have to. For many years, we've resisted, doing that just because we actually had a full forces manpower. This year, we're down 25%. So by reaching out to them, we're going to hopefully actually have more. And instead of triaging things, maybe as water, like we had in the past, we'll be actually able to make good arrest this year and send a message that we're not going to tolerate the behavior that's gone on in the past.
And with those extra resources that we didn't anticipate from our last meeting, I know the third condition was moving it from noon to 8. Do you think that with those additional resources now, we would be able to shift that to 1 to 9? Because I know we've been under a significant amount of pressure to shift those hours.
Going to put this on me, huh?
No, I'm going to ask the same question, Aaron.
It would all depend on the ultimate closing time and how many actual troopers I get. Right now, I have a commitment to about 6. If it ends up being 10 or 15, then we can talk. I think if it went any later than what you've already established, it would have to be at a singular site where we could have most of our resources all in one place. And that would be my only recommendation if it was to be altered at all from last agreement.
Yeah, so what you're saying is just with the 6 troopers committed to right now, we should stay to noon to 8. However, possibly consider shifting the crowd to possibly the rink to pick up to that 9 o'clock hour. Is that kind of what you're suggesting or talking about? Maybe it's not the rink, but just.
If we identify a specific place, I can give a better answer. So if you're going with the rink and you wanted to run the rink an hour later than every other venue, and we could have, say, 90% of the allocated police force there, that would probably work. I would just need to have a hard close time.
Yeah.
So the rink's going to be different than your other establishments. The rink's obviously most likely going to close when the music stops.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Rinks, unlike the other venues, which are privately owned establishments that that are going to continue to stay open afterwards. So if the rink music played till 9 and the rink closes at 10, sure, because all the other bars are closing at 10 too. Right? Was that what the original agreement was?
I think we talked, we said 12 to 8 for all the venues. And then the bars could stay, right, for the bands, and then the bars could stay open that participate would stay open for 2 more hours. But then we also talked about 1 to 9 with the bars staying open till 11. And I know you'd said at the last meeting, I thought you said, I don't feel like you drew a hard line between the two as far as how it would affect safety-wise.
I would like it to stay 8. I've talked to venue owners in town that have reached out to me actually and expressed that they're fine with it being 8, and I'm okay with the rink going an extra hour if it centrally locates most people, because then I can centrally locate the resources.
To 12 to 8 at all the venues except the rink, and 12 to 9 at the rink, and the bars still close at 10?
I mean, I would agree with that.
Aaron, what have you been able to find out?
Well, so first and foremost, Mr. Mayor, you and I spoke a week ago. Do you have what we had talked about?
Pardon?
Do you have what you and I had talked about a week ago?
Yeah, you and I had talked about it. You said you were comfortable getting the mutual aid, you're going to need to cover it, but you said your department would be stretched thin. Because what people have to realize is, like our ambulance, right, is working to cover the entire community, and then you have this event that's going to require an ambulance, and the ambulance has to take people to Mercy. And then if somebody has a heart attack on Grover, our ambulance is at Mercy with somebody who, suffered an issue at the event. So our concern was ambulance coverage for sure, and personnel coverage from the emergency services. And I think the board will agree, we understand that it's going to stretch all our resources thin to do it. And coverage is going to be tight.
Yeah, so like we had talked about, there's not too much that I can do about additional ambulance coverage. I can't call on another volunteer community to bring on their ambulance for us because their community will have a fit, obviously. So as long as the board understands that not just for the event, that for its residents, when the 911 system is utilized for transport vehicles, for ambulances, it'll stretch things thin. If you guys acknowledge that, I've spoken with other chiefs. I will do everything that I can. I'm pretty certain that we'll be able to get supplemental firefighters and EMTs for the first response basis. Like I said, first response meaning, not bringing an ambulance, but at least having somebody that can render some type of aid.
So currently, we're going to have the ambulance that, what's their names? Who gives us the ambulance? It starts with an
AMR.
Thank you. The ambulance that AMR gives us, right,
Or normal, yeah.
is normally, right? So
Yeah.
wherever their coverage is,
Wherever
AMR
they're coming
puts it.
from, yep.
Right. So I talked to Shane. He's going to reach out to AMR, make sure they know about this event, so when they're scheduling.
Yeah, I've already been in talks with
Yeah,
their
okay,
crew
great.
chief.
Great.
He knows the same thing as last year. I mean, they're not guaranteeing better coverage. They're gonna, they have contracts to follow. They're not. I'm just telling them about it so they know the plan and they know the road closures. That's standard practice for all the events. I speak with them about it.
And then there's
They're
going to
not
be a
giving us
provider at like a triage.
Yep, same thing
tent
with
or
the regular, like you guys have in the permit, the Part 18 paperwork through State Department of Health. They haven't had an issue with that in the past. Last year, it went real well. And I believe the same person that filed for it last year for him is doing it again this year. So that will give the event dedicated transport ambulance.
Right. So Part 18, which is the state requirements for an event this size, requires a dedicated ambulance that the applicants have to pay for, right? As well as they need a healthcare provider.
The mobile health clinic, yeah.
Within 15 minutes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now, do they say they're going to have one on site at their mobile unit?
Last year they did. I don't know if they will. The requirement does not require them to have a physician at the mobile health clinic. They did that last year as an addition. So they're able to, in theory. What it's really designed for is if you think about, I hate using the Bill Stadium because it's thousands and thousands of people, but if you think of like an event like Borderland, where it's one contained event, you can take everybody there and then a physician can triage them. A little bit tougher in this scenario when it's more widespread, but that is what we have to work with.
Do you know when it says, I think it said doctor, but can it be a PA or an NP? Is it just a healthcare provider? Or does it have to be an MD?
I believe it says physician directly in it, which like I said, the physician, that type of response is not what I'm worried about.
It doesn't say PA.
Yeah. So, yeah, right, yeah.
So
Yep.
it's either a physician or if we have a paramedic on site, that
Good.
becomes a substitute at the physician. It is, I can get you documentation from the state
Yeah.
health department on that.
So,
Okay, then that's different than the regulations that I've got up in front of me, which says,
Yeah, I just met with the state investigator about it.
If he's gonna talk, he's gonna talk into
Yeah,
the
can you come on up and just identify yourself, and just so we can record it all. Thank you.
Ryan Sheedy with the Music Fest.
All right, can you repeat what you were saying?
Yeah, so based on the regulations, it is a physician, that's to be on site within 15 minutes, but if you do have a paramedic on site, that can substitute as that physician response. I can get the updated verbiage from state.
well, yeah, I'm just looking at 18.4, A sub 1 says for 5 to 15,000, there shall be one emergency healthcare facility on-site staffed by a minimum of 2 EMTs, one ambulance on-site staffed by at least 1 EMT, and the services of a physician available to the site within 15 minutes. Documentation shall be provided, and so on. Now, you're saying you've got something in writing from the Department of Health that says something else?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if the doctor's going to be here or not, but if not, we'll have the
Well, you're-
paramedic there. But I will get that clarification, said to Maureen, yes.
Well, you're saying the paramedic is going to replace the physician, and you've got something from the Department of Health that says that's okay.
Yes, I can provide that to Maureen, yes.
And you'll still have the 2 EMTs at the thing?
Yep, the rest will be the same, correct. Then also, we do plan on setting up meetings with Aaron.
Yeah. We've worked,
between
like
now
I said,
and then to get everything worked out with that.
the Part 18 honestly is not, the number of transport vehicles is my concern. The Part 18 is not my concern. Usually that Ryan does a good job getting that set up for him. And like he said, we communicate about it. I usually get an email from somebody at Department of Health, like last year, a couple days prior, making sure that everything is approved and is set right, and they are here to regulate it. So it's not necessarily on us to police. Department of Health has people to manage that kind of stuff.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks. It's part of the Part 18, yeah. Yeah, so if that gets approved, then there will be.
And we're also trying to see if we can get any kind of agreement from the county to give us anything additional ambulance-wise. We don't know, Shane's got a meeting with them tomorrow.
Okay.
Anything else for them, Jeff?
No, I just wanted to hear from them that they were able to get the extra support as the 2 conditions.
You want to add something?
So I'm just looking, I have a question to ask, because I was the one that was tasked to go out and find these extra police resources, and I want it to be known in the last 2 weeks that I've done that. And however, I see this rally cry to our public to show up at these meetings and, show their support. And in all these posts on social media that this event has taken to, I don't see anywhere in there where the Heart of Music Festival is saying, hey, look, we have an issue with the drain this puts on the police department, the drain this puts on the fire department. And those are the issues that are coming up on the 24th of the month. It's every other issue on there, and it's every other complaint about the board and everybody else that some of the people running this very festival are liking and sharing and going on about. And I feel like, I don't want to use the term, in a bad term, but why isn't the festival reaching out to the public and telling them what the issues are that we've had with this event since we had our first meeting, since we started planning this meeting? It's never been about giving back to charity and about the board or anybody here at the village not wanting to give to charity. It's been about public safety. So tell your people that come to your event that the reason this has been held up is in the name of public safety. Take to social media and do that, because that's what this has been for us since we met our first time, public safety. And not only the safety at your event, but the safety of the people that live here that don't go to your event.
Thanks, Chief. Anything else from the board members?
Questions? No. Are we thinking of moving the slot to 9 o'clock from, is it 12 to 8 now or 1 to 8?
12 to 8 right now.
Because it's still light out. Sun doesn't go down till 8:40 something. I don't think it's unreasonable to go till 9. 9's early.
1 to 9, though, not noon to 9.
Yeah, 1 to 9 would
1
be
to
good.
9.
I'm in favor of the 1 to 9. I feel, thank you, by the way, for the fire and police department for stepping up and finding people. And it is about safety. It's also, on the other hand, a lot of measures have been taken to cut it down with the extra fencing, barbell not participating, things of that nature. And I feel that if we do stop it by dark, the 9 o'clock mark, I think that's 2 hours off of what last year was? They ended at 11 and went to midnight.
Sounds right.
So now it's 2 hours of, I would call it prime time, because as you pointed out, Chief, the later it gets, the more fun people try to have. So I think that 9 o'clock, it would be already cutting off 2 hours of the festival, and it's ending still by 10 then? Or would we do it on 11 then?
Well, the original was the 2 hours past the ending of the music. So the original was noon to 8 with bars closing at 10. Now it's going to be 1 to 9 with bars closing at 11. So that's the extra 2 hours. I think that's where I was kind of going with that idea of, and I think the chief actually brought this up on occasion, as kind of shifting the crowd, kind of giving them the incentive
To condense
go
the
to
crowd so it's easy
one
to handle.
location, so that both fire and police can maximize their resources around where that crowd shifted to. And that was kind of an idea that the chief has come up with. I don't know if it's too late in the game to make that shift or adjustment, but that certainly makes sense, right? When we're talking about it getting darker, we're talking about the crowd, the condition of the crowd, and trying to maximize our resources, both fire and police. It's one area that we'd have to worry about rather than the space that we have across I think somebody said 1 mile across the village. Just basically the idea of maximizing resources.
I am going to defer what I said at the first meeting, and what the department's head what they want is what I'm going to follow, and they want 8 o'clock. I'm okay with moving the rink till 9 o'clock, but it's all about public safety, and that's what they recommend, and that's what I'm going to follow. It's unfortunate that at the February 3rd meeting, we asked the board member to bring the permit to us for us to review. He didn't get it to us until April 1st, so this is the second meeting we're able to talk about this. We didn't see the permit until last meeting, where we could have had these adjustments made in time, but we just don't have enough time to modify it now.
I think having it be done at 9 o'clock is reasonable. It's an economic shot in the arm for a lot of these businesses that host the events. It's a one-time shot in the arm for some of them. Puts them over the top. I think we see how this goes. If it doesn't work out well, if we have some negative experiences with it, maybe next year we reevaluate. But I think if we can have assurances that they have proper security, proper, safety in place, they really do shut down at 9 o'clock, and they do all of the things that they've promised us. It's light out at 9 o'clock still. I mean, we've been told that bad things happen when things get dark.
How do we define it not working out for next year, then?
Not working out sounds like somebody gets hurt, right?
Well, let me rephrase it.
Just understand what you're gambling with.
Okay, but I'm
not
saying
working out
we
with
don't
it
like
means
the look of
somebody's
it.
you know.
I mean, I've always enjoyed it, but honestly, I've never been out really late to this event. So, and I obviously don't see what you guys.
And that's where I would agree with you, Ernie. During the day, it's beautiful. It is a community-organized, beautiful event. I enjoy it every year. Last year, I was with the fire department walking around, and at night, it got hairy. What time was the fight last year?
It was around, 10 or 11? 9:30? 9:30, 10?
I just think it's not worth risking it this year. We let it cool down, and next year, hopefully they get the permit in early. We can really address it and make sure it's safe and go from there.
Right, that's my thing, is we've got the experts telling us that this is rough to begin with.
When
right?
the
This
concern
is a
is-
difficult sell to begin with. We know from what you folks shared with us the last meeting, that 8 o'clock roughly is when we start to see problems. It's not just when the sun goes down. It's people who've been drinking for X amount of time. The people who are serious about drinking are coming out later, because that's just how this sort of thing always goes. So when we talk about the businesses getting a shot in the arm late, what that means is more people drinking more alcohol. That's what fuels the problems. So that's where my objection is to extending it to 9 o'clock. I'm okay with it, like, as you said, if it's a one venue and we're funneling people and police and fire are okay with it, then I'm all right with that as a concession. But other than that, I'm pretty hard over on the 8 o'clock stop.
Kind of curious to see how it's going to play out. I mean, the screen fencing, we got rid of the buildup of people on Hamlin by fencing those off as two separate venues. I know that's where I was near the end of the night. I went home early because it filled up with young people, and I was like, this is not my crowd. But I guess it got gamey after I left. So trying to take that out. Barbell's not participating, right? They're selling 3,000 less tickets. We moved it up 2 hours from last year.
There's no national act.
No national act. We got the mutual aid coming in. Kind of interested to see what the state troopers are going to do. Like I said, I feel like there was a lot of changes.
I feel we're in the best shape in the history of the event with the precautions taken. And late ticket sales will inhibit crowds, will cause ticket sales to be a little lower.
Yeah, I don't know, Jeff, the funneling idea, like, how would that look at this stage? Or is that a next year idea, or is that something
It might be a next year idea.
we could act on now?
I guess it would be a next year idea.
I mean, just
How you
to say, if
structure
the
it.
bars are still open on one side of the town, you can stop all the music, but if the bars are still open, you can't move all the police away.
I don't want to make any motion?
I'll make a motion to extend till 9 PM under the same conditions. Everything except for the time, the same.
I'll second that.
So you're saying, spell it out, please.
From 1 to 9, only the hours with this motion change. All the other stipulations stay the same.
And what about the bars closing? Still at 10 or at 11? These are bars that are participating. If they don't participate.
Sure, they
they'll
would,
do
I
whatever
mean, it
they
would be
want. They got-
tough to get people out in an hour, I think. So, 11. Close music at 9, bars by 11.
Ernie?
I'll second that.
All right. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Hold on, you're
wait,
taking
wait,
this
wait.
whole thing in? Another hour, the whole town? I didn't say we could do that safe.
Well, we
He
did,
only said the rink.
I said the rink, so we could, but to centrally locate and allocate more resources. But certainly not the rest of the town.
Wait, I'm sorry, you
That-
can't talk.
ma'am,
You can't talk.
You're up.
good, Ben.
We spoke about, the rink is a large event. It's a large venue, and that's where a lot of people can be. So the request was made to have that go on an hour longer, because that would draw more people there. And I said, well, that would be easier to police because it's a more controlled environment, and we could allocate more services there later in the night. But the closing time would still remain the same. I wouldn't extend the rink 2 hours past when they stop serving beer. They can clear that rink out in an hour. They clear concert downtown out in an hour. There's no reason to have it go 2 more hours at the rink.
So music
It
till
would
9,
just give
close
them
at 10.
an extra hour of music there.
Well, close at 10 then.
I'll revise that to 10, but the music's still till 9,
Everywhere or just the
Everywhere?
rink?
everywhere,
So all venues, including the rink, music from 1 to 9, you're saying,
correct.
and the venues participating have to be closed by 10.
Just so we're clear, that is completely against what Pat is asking for.
Pardon?
That's completely against what Pat is asking for. He wants all the venues to close at 8, the rink stays open till 9.
Trustee Raby asked me personally if I thought there'd be a problem going to 9 at just the rink. My
Right.
answer to that was, at
I
just the
understand
rink,
that.
that would be okay. I have nothing to do with your motion. I'm just saying that's what my answer.
Right, no, I get it. I think the logistics of that, this would be very difficult right now.
And that, we should have had this permit
And as Shane
months ago.
said-
Yeah.
That would be tough, you can't, how do you?
Because the bars are still open. If the bars are still open
The
till
bars
11.
are still open at the other end.
February 3rd, we were told he could give us the permit tomorrow, and we didn't get it till April 1st. And now we're in this situation.
I guess that's my motion.
Which,
9, music, 10.
1
all
to
the-
9,
all the-
all the venues, and all the venues closed by 10.
Correct.
And I will second that.
Second that. Any other discussion?
Give me just 1 second to catch up.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Reluctant, aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
4 ayes, 2 nays, motion passes.
So 1 to 9, close at 10.
1 to 9, close at 10. And I suggest we meet with the organizers after the venue and evaluate everyone's thoughts on how it went while it's fresh. All right, moving on to our second speakers and communications. Anybody have any topics they want to discuss? Raise your hand. Tony?
Tony Rosati, 461 Griggs Place. Going back for a second to the Hamlin evaluation of trees and safety, kind of relating to that, we had another situation over the weekend where a big tree limb fell down on South Grove, and the fire department had to come out and they took care of it, but it originated on the opposite side of the street from where all the power poles are. So what I'd like to suggest is some kind of similar inventory evaluation of street trees that have, bad situations with them in terms of hollowed out areas and things. Maybe try and schedule over the course of 60 days an evaluation of street trees that are opposite where the telephone poles are. Because I know people have looked at all the ones where the wires have to be trimmed.
That's a good point.
But obviously, we haven't taken care of the rest of it either. And it's not something that I think we should just leave to chance, because we had another tornado warning this afternoon. The weather isn't going to get easier, it's going to get more difficult. So wind and that kind of thing, it seems like we should be more proactive, whether we get NYSEG to do it or the tree guy to do it, Jared. It just seems like we should be scheduling and planning that now.
Tony, I remember when you were a trustee on this board, you had suggested that NYSEG proactively prune their trees, and that fell on deaf ears. We asked NYSEG to do it, and they have kicked it down the road forever. And now that's part of the mess that's going on with the trees, is that they weren't pruned every 5 years or regularly. So you had good vision in that regard. But I'd have to hear from Jeff on the practicality of it. I know the park inventory of 160 trees, having them go through cost $4,000. So Jeff, is there, aside from hiring Jared to evaluate the whole village, is there a way your team can do it as they're doing the rest of the job? You tell me how that would.
Yeah, so we're going to be starting our inventory list for our GIS system very soon. So myself, a couple of my guys, we're going to be going out looking at pretty much every street tree. It's going to take time, but we're going to get it. And if there's issues that I see, I will contact Jared to get, a second look at it, and we'll go from there. But I would like to get every street tree looked at very soon.
That'd be great,
Yeah.
I know it's easy to get caught up on over pruning, but we continue to have safety problems there too.
Yeah, with this system, we'll be able to track all our maintenance for every tree. And even the residents will be able to look and see what tree is out in their front yard and the maintenance that has been done.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tony. Anyone else want to speak?
Hi, I'm Kim Houtman. I live at 407 Prospect Avenue. I came here for the Music Fest conversation, and I appreciate the outcome, that there will be a Music Fest, as I understand it. And I'm glad we're not going to put everybody in one place from 8 to 9, but we'll keep it spread out, because that felt scary. I do have a question, though, because you happened to talk in this meeting, and I don't have the background on it, on the pickleball court that are over off of South Grove. And I guess I'm wondering why, they put up these beautiful courts. I was thrilled. I use them. And then I understand that they were loud, and I don't think anybody knew that that was a problem. But then they did this beautiful soundsorb panels around it. And then how come that didn't end up adequately addressing the problem? And is that...
Just didn't. It only eliminates so many decibels of sound, and we thought it would mitigate it more, but it didn't.
So they like actually kind of measure that, or they?
When you purchase these, they actually tell you how many decibels to expect.
Okay.
And there's a lot of variables, how high of a fence, how high the barriers are and things of that nature.
And so that everybody has decided that it makes you, as a result of all of that work, all the time, all that money, that it's not suitable and has to be turned into something else.
Doesn't have to, or suggestions, it's the amount of, the park committee, which Ernie and I are both a part of, and the residents surrounding the park have expressed that it's pretty annoying, for lack of a better word. It's just constant, and especially when we had the full court there, you'd have
Right.
20 people show up at the same time. So we're looking at options, and also with the advent of more pickleball courts in the area. Emery Park is right there. They have a ton of them. We have 2 at the pool and at Warren Drive as well. So we don't feel we're shortchanging anybody on their ability to play.
So let me just throw it out there. If a lot of people come out in favor of the pickleball courts in Hamlin Park at our public hearing, right, that's still something we'd consider.
Yeah.
And I guess that
mean,
was my
and
question, is
maybe-
this a done deal and we're just meeting?
No, that's why we're
No,
just
they
having
want to
a,
turn it
that's
into-
why we voted on a public hearing.
Okay,
Yeah, because maybe we go down to one pickleball court, one badminton court, and do something else with the other side of it.
which
Who
is
knows?
kind of what they did,
Who knows?
right?
I mean, yeah, and that was it. Putting 4 courts in, what we didn't know was that the Western New York Pickleball Association would get super stoked about it and show up at 6 a.m. with 30 people
And leaf blowers.
play like competitive pickleball constantly, So that's why we went down to 2 to discourage them, because the idea of 4 courts together, because they all do like round robin.
Right.
So we figured that would reduce the chance of them wanting to take advantage of it, which it has. But
Honestly, every time I've gone to play, maybe there's other people there, but more often than not, I'm the only one out there on the court. So that's why I was like, really? It seemed like it worked. Like all of those adjustments really, to me, felt like it worked. So I was surprised to hear it would be turned into something totally different.
well, we'll talk to
I
the-
drove by the other day looking for the knots. I'm like, oh, they're not up yet. Now I know why. So, I appreciate that there'll be a public hearing, and now I understand better. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Anyone else want to speak on anything? Sam?
You guys hear me? Sam Jaworski, 33 Center Street. Good evening, board and community members. I'm extremely happy that so many people have come out and participated in the discussion regarding Music Fest Heart of Music. Regardless of what side you're arguing for, it is inherently American to see an issue in your community and speak about it in a public forum with your elected officials. I'm an EMS captain and active firefighter with the East Aurora Fire Department. Regarding this event, I do not pretend to know what is in the best interest of East Aurora's bar. I do not pretend to be a physical security expert, and I do not pretend to know about what the event's organizers do with the proceeds. What I do know about is the state of emergency medical services in Western New York. The total number of active and certified emergency medical technicians has decreased 18%, from 40,000 to 33,000 in New York State, from 2019 to 2022, which is the most recent available data. In a 2024 New York State Department of Health study, Where Are All of the Emergency Medical Responders?, 45% of currently active and certified EMTs plan to leave the profession in the next 6 years. Of those who stated they are planning on leaving the profession, 66% of them cited inadequate pay and benefits for their work. Drive by any commercial ambulance services stations, you will see empty ambulances with no EMTs to work them. This is a complex issue with many factors, including increased call volume due to inaccessibility of primary health care, increased wait times at hospitals, antiquated billing practices for Medicare, Medicaid, and poor work-life balance. 45% of New York State EMTs have a wage of $19 an hour or less. During the pandemic, I worked on a commercial ambulance service and would regularly drive by fast food restaurants with now hiring signs offering considerably better pay and benefits than I was receiving. Under normal circumstances, East Aurora Fire Department waits 20 to 30 minutes or longer for an ambulance to arrive on scene. I'm extremely proud of how far EAFD has come in recent years regarding our EMS program and the partnerships we've built with neighboring agencies. We've built a strong culture and skilled providers. Due to the nature of EMS, these are not the type of calls you read about on the advertiser or on Facebook, but you should all know that your volunteer EMTs are regularly making life-saving interventions and positively influencing patient outcomes. However, there is only so much we can do the way our current EMS system is structured. On the April 7th meeting, Music Fest representative Chris Welsh stated, "From my understanding, the time that the ambulance was needed, it was there in minutes. This to me shows a disconnect between emergency responders and event planners. This event has one ambulance solely dedicated to it. That one ambulance will show up extremely quickly for one patient. After that, it will be leaning on an already weak EMS system due to East Aurora's geographic location and lack of EMS providers to staff ambulances in the region. Although the event does bring with it a higher call volume for itself, EAFD still has a commitment to the rest of the community. EMS is a zero-sum game, and using ambulances for Music Fest calls directly impacts the rest of the community's access to emergency medical services. This is not even considering the likelihood or the increased likelihood for a mass casualty incident, which would overwhelm all public safety resources. I am up here to bring to the community's attention that EMS is in crisis, and turning East Aurora into an open bar for a day greatly increases the likelihood that you or someone that you love will experience extended wait times for ambulances on that day. One of the many frequent discussions amongst healthcare providers is regarding patient advocacy. As one of the EMTs who will be giving my day to respond to emergencies inside and out of the event, this is my way of advocating for those patients. For my conscience, I wanted my concerns surrounding this event to be heard. In closing, the East Aurora Fire Department will be there to support the event as best we can.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Since it's already approved, I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. Steve Lazikis, Ernie Shear, Peter Mercurio, and Jeff Raby, thank you for the middle finger to the emergency services that provide care in your community. Thanks.
Anyone else want to speak? That closes our second speakers and communications. Department head report, Pat?
Over the weekend, they ran the bunny hop successfully. No issues that I've been made aware of. It went like it usually does. It was a nice event, attended well by the local population. Nothing else to report from the police department.
Thanks, Pat. Jeff?
Yeah, we started hot patching around the village. In the next coming weeks, we're going to be starting in the park, and I want to get the GIS system going for trees. And also, we are going to be working with Scott Warning on electric to get this bathroom going at Hamel Park.
The new one?
Yeah.
Have a busy year, Jeff.
I saw you got trees delivered too?
Yeah.
For a tree board?
Yep, we got, those are the trees for my site.
Oh, cool. Nice. Do those have homes yet?
They're working on it.
Okay.
Aaron?
Nothing for the fire department other than, with all the time and effort that we've put into these special events, we've made it clear from the fire department and the other departments and all of its members where we stand with members of the board and their ability to work with us.
Rich?
Nothing this evening.
Shane?
Just one thing, if you haven't heard, Erie County's internet new service that they're pushing out will be coming here in the near future. It's my understanding that NYSEG has told them before they do any work, they need to contact us and meet with us before they start hanging their wire or doing any trimming.
Thank you, Shane. Maureen?
Official stress scores came out. We remained the same as last year, both in the environmental score and in the financial score. Our financial score is very low. We have a 5 out of 100. If you have anything under 45, it shows no designation. We're not showing any signs of fiscal stress. And the items we got points for, we intentionally made those decisions. I think they're valid decisions, so I'm very happy with that score.
Nicely done. Grace?
Yeah. just regarding Music Fest. I hope we can all have a beautiful day that day. We can encourage each other to be safe, have fun, don't get into trouble. I hope it's a great, beautiful day for the charities involved. They make a lot of money. Please respect our police and fire. They're stressed already. We don't need to add any more stress or anger around this issue. They will all show up. They are all great people. They do what is best for the community. Let's not put any more stress on them, and have a beautiful, happy day. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Jeff?
Yeah, a couple things with regard to Music Fest. The Part 18, when do we find out if that actually gets approved by Department of Health? And if it doesn't get approved, what happens then? So now I'm trying to look for a time period. Like,
If
what
they don't
happens?
give them the permit, it doesn't happen.
Right. So typically, when does the Department of Health get back to us if it is approved or not? I mean, we can't have that happen on the day of.
They can apply to what, 45 days before for
Yeah.
Part 18?
Yeah. Which means they should get it relatively quick. Of course, they've said they've already talked to them, so I'm presuming that that has actually happened and that you'll have the letter shortly, or.
Because last year,
I don't
that's
get
what.
it,
I'm sorry.
only he gets it.
Because last year, that's what was delayed. We didn't approve it until May 6th, I think, last year, because we didn't have the Part 18. So that's why I'm concerned about that.
That's if it's not, it's not something we can put as a condition, because it's a
It's
state
a
requirement.
state law,
Requirement,
right,
yeah.
right.
So it's already required by them.
It's already out there, it's required to be submitted. They've said that they would submit it to Maureen. I understand, but
Yeah.
they did
The
indicate
approval,
they'd
though,
submit
comes to Aaron, and it's
Right.
because he seeks it out.
I don't care which
I
one of you
understand.
two. The village and its representatives. Okay.
Can I jump in there and ask a question of Chris? All the venues that are listed on the permit, are they held to the permit? So if like a venue decides to back out now, can they do that?
Well, the permit pertains to basically health services.
I mean, the
He
temporary
means the
use.
special, she means the special
Well,
use.
the
yeah.
conditions, if they back out now,
Yeah,
or they back out right before, because.
regardless.
If they back out now, then obviously, then the conditions won't apply to them because.
So they can
not
stay open
having
Even though
as long as
there's
they want.
those contracts that said that they will abide?
Well, they would have to get permission to back out. If they have a contract with you, well, who's the contract with?
It's with the Heart of Music.
Right. So if Heart of Music lets them out, and therefore they no longer have a venue for purposes of music,
I'm just saying, if every venue that night decides to stay open till midnight, how do we enforce that?
no, then you'll be going after the venues for not abiding by the agreement, and then you would end up in a courtroom.
Okay.
And then,
Unless the police want to go there, and I'm not hearing the chief indicate he wanted to send everybody over there to close them down. I'm guessing you don't want to.
They've done it before.
I'd be calling you to see if I was allowed to. It's sticky, basically, I think you could exercise it, you would maybe entertain never offering a permit in the future based on breaking a prior
Oh,
agreement.
yeah, I think that's almost a given, if they're foolish enough to try that.
That'll burn bridges.
Yep.
and then the other comment I have was about the list of beneficiaries. I asked at the last meeting of the organizer about the beneficiaries. They said they are already determined, but I don't know if we get a list of those beneficiaries. I want to make sure that the volunteer fire department is on that list of beneficiaries. And then finally, I would ask the organizers to reduce the level of tone deafness with regard to public safety, specifically in social media and on their website. That our sole responsibility up here is the health and safety of the public that we represent. not outside organizations. This was a very difficult decision for all of us sitting up here, as you can see. So I hope that is communicated to not just your participants, but your beneficiaries as well. That's all I have to say.
Well said. Ernie?
Yeah, I'll build on what Trustee Raby said. I think it's on the heart of music now to make sure, when you use social media, and you've used it in a negative way, so I've heard from people who have told me, because I'm not on Facebook, you need to use social media to encourage your patrons and people who come here to behave themselves, and they be respectful of our community. It was a very difficult decision, very difficult to make this decision. It's an event that I love, but I want my town to be safe. And I do respect our responders. I always have, I always will. But I really, we need to know that this is going to be a safe event. You have to promote it big time. And I like some of the adjustments you've made from the way it was run in the past. But this is too valuable an event for the community. I think there's a lot of good comes out of it, but there's also the potential for bad. And we don't want to see the bad. We want the good, and we want to see a well-run event that is safe and an event that we can be proud of. But on a positive note, my granddaughter loved the Easter Bunny on the ladder truck. She thought that was great. She saw it 4 times, and
Thank you.
it was very nice. That was a wonderful thing, and she's out there. She's waving to it, and, you know. So thank you for that. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that was, oh, sorry, I don't want to.
I'm done.
Kristen?
Thank you. Yeah, that Easter Bunny was awesome. That's my sister and brother-in-law and my niece were a little bit late for Easter brunch because the bunny was coming around, so that was pretty awesome. And she appreciated the sticker, so thanks.
I got to see Grace sitting in the passenger. I guess what's it called, passenger seat? That's not what they call it in the truck, right?
I'm not supposed to sit there, right? Because I'm not an officer.
Is there a special name for that seat?
Officer seat, yeah.
That was really cool.
But, yeah, I think everybody's kind of covered Music Fest. I hope it goes well. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's always nice to see a full room. Usually, especially by this point in the meeting, it's mostly empty chairs. So that's really great to see. And thanks especially to the fire department for coming out. You know, really appreciate it. You guys do so much for the community already. So to show up to this and deal with the whole public speaking and everything, just, you know, really appreciate it, your perspective. So that's all.
Steve?
A couple weeks ago, I attended a tree seminar that actually Nancy Smith put together, and it was excellent. I went over things like the benefits of the trees, tree inventories, which Jeff was talking about starting up, and I think that's very important. And different programs that different towns and municipalities are using, such as Tree Keeper and the RGIS system. I was ignorant to a lot of the impacts of trees, and basically, you cut one mature tree down, you need to plant 8 to 10 just to get back the same benefits that that one tree offered. So little things like that really opened my eyes, and I think we need to pursue some grants maybe to help facilitate our inventory. I think there's some grants out there, and just our tree maintenance and things like that, keep our eyes open. And also the moratorium, do you have any interest in pursuing that?
Public hearing, scheduling a public hearing for a moratorium.
Right.
To stop any non-emergency trimming of trees.
Got it. So that was really.
I'd like to see that happen.
I would.
It's a motion.
It's, oh.
We would need a motion.
We already did that, right? No.
No.
Oh, I'll make that motion now.
I'll second it.
Moved by Steve, second by Jeff.
What?
Scheduling, further discussion, when would it be?
Tomorrow.
May 19th.
No,
Public hearing would be May
Notice
19th? right?
that's the earliest we could have it, yes.
So Steve, you're moving to have it on May 19th?
Yes, please.
Is that the same as follow my thought process, as the Hamlin Park discussion,
Ooh,
and it was also the same night as the deer. So
Yeah,
we
we
can
have 4
have it,
public
we could have it all together, because that's the one, I feel like all
Good,
those
we can
issues
get
are
people out.
things
Very
the
good.
community wants to talk about.
We'll be packed. It'll be
Be
a
a
long
long
We
night.
could get
We
that
always thought
one
that we
long,
can get it all
get it all
out.
done in one.
Just get it
We
done.
didn't set the Hamlin Park.
I thought we did.
No, you guys talked about it,
No.
and I said I'd put it on the next agenda
Okay.
to set it.
Oh,
But we could set them all together, unless we don't want to do that to ourselves.
Just do it.
One.
Just do a
We
marathon
did, we
meeting.
did 4 hours and 20 minutes last
Yeah.
meeting.
yeah, we
I
did.
know,
did.
I know. We could do
We
it.
can do it.
We can do it. Get it
Take
done. Just take them all
Put
on
them
at
all,
once.
and I feel like they have a lot of common
Like
themes.
some of the old school board meetings used to go on forever.
Yeah.
All right, one at a time.
All right.
Set the
So Steve made a motion to have a public hearing for a moratorium on, a moratorium on non-emergency trimming of village trees for May 19, right?
Yes.
And Jeff, you seconded?
Second it, yep.
Any other discussion from the board?
Is that, Chris, is that something we can legally do?
I mean, have, which part?
Moratorium's a big word.
Yes,
That
I know
part.
moratorium's a big word.
I know you
It
know.
will, you certainly can have the public hearing, you can certainly, you've got to go through it in
Good
terms
enough.
of local law. The interesting question will be.
How you
is-
enforce it.
Well, no, the enforcing it can be done because at that point they'd be in violation of a law, local law, and that could be enforced. The issue will be ultimately in being able to defend it in the courtroom.
That's my question.
And this
Okay.
gives Chris a month to research it.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'll take that answer.
Any other discussion? Bless you. Any other discussion?
No.
All right, moved by Steve, second by Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Scheduling a public hearing for moratorium for May 19. Next,
Do we need to
Thank you, Ju.
schedule the public comment session for May 18th regarding Hamlin Park Sports Court?
do we need to vote?
We did that, didn't we?
Session?
No,
Did we just
didn't,
discuss
we
that?
said we didn't vote on
So
it.
we're all
it's not
done.
a public hearing, it's,
Just
you put
schedule
it
it
on your
for-
agenda.
We all
Just
like
want
it.
it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Put it on
I know, I thought we
May
voted
19th?
too, but,
Everybody's good with May 19 for that?
yep.
All right. We're doing that May 19th. Anything else
I'm good.
for May 19? You good, Steve? All right, yeah, I would just add what the rest of the trustees said. What we do here is kind of about balance. I enjoy the event, but safety's got to come first all day long for the residents. And adding all these conditions, including making sure police and fire had the mutual aid to make them a little more comfortable with the crowds. And I do, to echo Kristen's thoughts, I do appreciate all the people coming out and speaking up, everybody, fire department, everybody, because we get to hear from the public, and it just shows that people care. And that's the great thing about our community, is people do care. I guess I would reiterate to the organizers, make sure you let the venue owners know, and make sure you let your attendees know when you're putting your posts on social media that shenanigans and abusing the event in the community is just going to hurt your chances of getting it approved next year, right? So if they appreciate the event and they enjoy the event, tell them not to screw it up, right? I know you get it, Mike. That's all I have. I guess we're going to go into, can I get a motion to go into executive session regarding litigation? Do I have to say that?
It does, you does.
Too late.
Do I legally have to say that?
Yes.
Now you'd better.
All right, so can I get a motion to go into executive session regarding Benderson's litigation?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second?
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you all for coming tonight. We will not likely vote when we get out of this executive session, so if you don't stick around, nice to see you.
I won't be long.
This will be quick.